What is up, Jabronis? JJ and Holden back here talking a little Week 16 in the NFL. Holden, I might have put the eyes on us a bit last week. I think I said something like all year together we've lost both our picks, I think once all year.
Yeah.
And last week, look, if there's one thing we are on this channel, it's accountable. We lost both our picks last week. Now, the one thing I'll say is we did bounce back pretty well the last time this happened with a nice little long stretch of good weeks. But we don't have that in our corner this week with only 2 weeks left. But, I'm excited to bounce back this week.
Let me say something about that. I've been complete dog shit the last 2 weeks. So I just want to throw that out there too. Complete dog shit. So let's try and finish strong here in these last 2 weeks. And I think we will. We have the track record this year, but my God, what a doo-doo.
I mean, you just gotta push through them, right? Like a kind of like a snowblower.
Yeah.
Or bulldozer, maybe. Snowblower. Yeah, snowblower was probably a little passive aggressive. Yeah. Bulldozer, probably better. So we got a fun week. I mean, and Earl says it best. I mean, I probably should have come on this show with Vaseline in the paper bag. Been a rough week for me. I mean, up and down. Overall, I think from last Sunday to this Sunday, I think I'm right at even.
Great, I tailed you. So glad today that I tailed you.
But yeah, I mean, it's been it's been some late losses, some easy wins, some easy losses. I guess it's par for the course, right? I mean, ultimately, that's what this stuff is. But ultimately, looking forward to this week and having a strong Sunday.
All right, let's do this, dude. Let's just run down this slate. It's a small slate. It's 10 games. If we got time, let's get to the night game too, because this Green Bay Tennessee game should be fun. But as you were mentioning, JJ, Cleveland is playing without any wide receivers. I think Austin Hooper's a nice play today if you're playing DFS. 6.5. I mean, this line is everywhere. I got 6.5 point favorites on the road here for Cleveland. The total is between 43 and 44.5. I mean, JJ, the Jets are a complete debacle, but Cleveland now not looking good with all these injuries. So I guess it's going to be a lot of running. I wonder what you think on the total first before the side.
Yeah, I mean, the under makes sense, right, to a certain extent. I think that you can kind of see how this game goes early if you want to really touch the total. Because here's the thing. If you're going to bet this over, you're going to need like 4 touchdowns from the Browns. Or about 4 touchdowns from the Browns. I mean, and I don't know. Baker Mayfield is literally – so the one dude was like the 5th string wide receiver, Marvin Hall. Okay. Was that the same guy that was on the Lions? Did he get traded?
Yes, it is. He went to the Browns hoping that he can run really fast and catch a ball down.
Okay. So, yeah, he's like their 4th or 5th string receiver, catching like 1 or 2 balls a week. So now literally every single wide receiver is out for Cleveland except for him. They call up 2 dudes from the practice squad. So Baker, you want to talk about like lack of continuity. I mean, Baker Mayfield's going to be throwing to receivers he hasn't thrown to all season. So it was a good point you bring up with Austin Hooper. It makes sense that he might be, feel a little more. Or how about the running backs, right? Maybe a lot of checkdowns. I don't think you're going to get a lot of player props from sports books. They're probably just not even going to throw them up there.
Took them down
for today.
I wanted Kareem Hunt so bad.
But I mean, you'd figure those running backs do some work today, specifically out of the backfield, catching passes. But I think you watch the game, you see how that offense flows. If it looks like the Jets are conceding a bunch of short passes, easy routes, whatever, maybe you think about betting the over. But I don't know how you could feel confident betting the over or under in this game with so many question marks on Cleveland's side. And look, the Jets are, you could argue they're kind of due for a letdown spot here. But again, if Baker Mayfield's in consistent 3rd and longs, I mean, who's he throwing the ball to? So, it's kind of tough to trust either side of this game. I get the line moving back under 7. I know it might sound silly, but I don't feel confident about teasing Cleveland down to 0 or pick them at 6.5 because, look, I'm just worried about the lack of continuity he has with his wide receivers. It could mean an interception or 2, with receivers running wrong route. There's a lot of things you could argue for why you wouldn't bet Cleveland, and you can't really bet the Jets because this line was 9 a few days ago. So you kind of lost value there. And then again, getting only 6.5 with the Jets isn't exactly all that promising either. So I'm going to avoid this game entirely. But again, if you want to bet the total, watch the first quarter or so, see if Baker has some continuity with these guys, and then maybe start thinking about betting over or under based on what you see with that offense.
Jets offense in the 4 weeks, Sam Darnold has returned. 31st in points per game at 14, 29th in yards per game, 24th in red zone, 22nd in third downs. I mean, these guys are just brutal.
Is it true that they're the only team in the NFL that's scored on their first possession like the last 12 weeks or 10 weeks?
That's it. And then it all goes to hell.
But I mean, it's pretty impressive. Like, I mean,
It is.
maybe they're coached pretty well.
Shut up, JJ.
I mean, you never know.
Don't start with me. Don't start with me right now, man. I don't want to hear it. Come on. I got a lot of pressure today. I got 2 season-long championships.
TikTok.
I got all this DFS stuff. I got betting out the yin yang. Don't mess with me in the Jets first possession touchdown. I don't want to hear it.
TikTok. You must have come in a few minutes late. Like Baker Mayfield's going to be throwing to UPS workers today.
Yes.
All his receivers are out. I
don't know. Again, I like Hooper a little bit. And then I think Kareem Hunt's probably going to be his wide receiver 1 or 2. I think he's going to be.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. They line him up in the slot all game.
Why not? Seriously, why not?
Yeah.
Dude's good. He's got good hands. Cincinnati and Houston. Anyways, I actually wouldn't be. I guess I would be shocked if points were up. Houston -7. Cincinnati's total 44.5. The total for the game. One thing I've noticed, if anybody's on Deshaun Watson props, one thing I noticed, that team, if they play from ahead, Watson's not throwing for 300 yards. I mean, it's just not happening. So I just caution anybody that's throwing Watson props in there, make you second guess yourself. That's always a good thing to do. And then if you're thinking about laying down there. But, JJ, Houston, can I really lay 7 points with these guys?
I think have we gotten a word on who's a starting quarterback for Cincy yet?
Yeah, I'll go get it. If it's Finley, we're done. If it's Brandon Allen, we're in, right?
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing, like, and what I find interesting about this game, like, so Brandon Allen, if he truly is the starter, which I would assume he would be. I know Finley played good 1 week, but like, talk about a flash in the pan. I mean, I don't think the odds makers adjusted enough for these wide receiver props this week. Mm-hmm. So Tyler Boyd's on the field almost 80%, 90% of the time. He sees 8 to 10 targets a week, especially from Brandon Allen. If he's not in, AJ Green's going to see a 90% of the snaps. T. Higgins is already seeing 100% of the snaps. Mm-hmm. And Drew Sample's going to be running more routes. Is it crazy to just play those 3 receiver props over their yardage? I mean, like, what's at worst? What do you go 2-1?
Well, I think Boyd's out.
Yeah, no, I know. That's what I'm saying.
But Allen is not on the injury report, so he's back.
Well, he's back, but they haven't named him actually to be the starter.
All right. He's expected to start.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, I mean, you think about it, you get Higgins at 55, Green at 36, and Drew Sample at 26. Like, I mean, how do you do worse than 2-1 there? Like, these guys are going to be on the field almost every snap. And by the way, Houston's one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. So, yeah, I kind of like that look if you're looking to target some props for this game. I think, but if you do it, you got to bet them all, in my opinion, because again, the goal is to go 2-1. I mean, look, I just think there's a much better shot of you going 3-0 versus 0-3. Like, how does that go 0-3 hold? Like, what is Brandon Allen going to throw for 30 yards today? I mean, but again, if Ryan Finley's the starter, I don't think you can make that move because Finley's more apt with his legs and he's not going to, and he kind of spreads the wealth a bit. So I'd avoid it if Finley's going, but if Allen's going, it's definitely worth a look for you guys. As far as this game goes, look, Watson's been good. He's been a much better quarterback when playing from behind. He probably will not be doing that today, as far as his numbers go. But, a tough game overall, right? Because Cincinnati's got an underrated defense. We saw how underrated that defense was last week against Pittsburgh in prime time. I typically hate targeting underdogs in this spot after a big primetime win. It's like an emotional win. This team, might have thrown some parties, non-COVID related parties, right? Might have thrown some parties last week.
Good for them.
But, ultimately, it's a big number to lay with Houston, too, a team that typically never wins by more than a touchdown anyway. So I'm overall going to avoid it. The total's interestingly low, which is starting to creep back up here right before game time. It makes sense to a certain extent. I don't know why it's this low, though. Like, I would have pictured this line to be about 47 and a half. The fact that it's been hanging at 44 and a half, 45, it's a little weary to me. But ultimately, I'm going to stay away from it.
We do not want Ryan Finley starting today, is all I'll say. Let's just stay.
I don't mind them in a teaser. Jimmy, take him down to 1.5.
Let's go to the what do we got? Indianapolis, Pittsburgh. This is good. This one is all over the place. I see on DraftKings it's 1.5. Pittsburgh's 1.5 point favorites. They are 1 point favorites at Fox Bet. I mean, it's just between 1 and 1.5 as you can get them. Okay, how about that? 42.5 is the total here, JJ. I know you had a thought on Phillip Rivers in this game. This is a Pittsburgh offense that is really struggling right now. They can't run the ball. The only thing they can do is throw short passes. then it's a Pittsburgh defense that's pretty damn good still. And I think Indianapolis could have some problems here. That's why the low total, right? What do you think about the total in this to start?
So here's the big news, right? I mean, Colts going to be missing 2 offensive linemen. That is not good news for Jonathan Taylor, especially against this run defense. But overall, like Philip Rivers been playing injured with turf toe, right? I mean, his numbers have been down since. He had a big start to the year in terms of a lot of passing yardage early. Now, you could also argue that their run game's been working better, so maybe that's why his numbers have deterred a bit. But now he plays a Pittsburgh defense that really has given up like 265 yards once all year through the air. I mean, this pass defense is unbelievable. And I get it. They've had some injuries and the defense hasn't looked as good. But it's like I say on this often, Holden, like your best defense is a good offense. Pittsburgh's offense can't stay on the field. Like they have been the last 3 to 4 weeks, 3 and out. Like, and they're not even, because they're not running the football. They're just like 3 incomplete passes and out. So this defense has been on the field a lot longer than they have been earlier in the year. I think that's why you're starting to see it, why, the defense is starting to get fatigued and give up points. But either way, a lot missing with this Colts offense today, specifically on that offensive line. What really makes this team drive and go is the fact that they arguably have the best offensive line in football. Two of those big hogs missing today. Rivers playing injured against a good run defense, against a good pass defense. It's not tough to imagine why this total is this low. And again, you take a dome team going outdoors in the cold. But overall, it's tough to love any aspect of this game. I will say that pending the timing of your bets, you could have teased this game in multiple ways. You could have teased Steelers up to 7.5. You could have teased Colts up to 7.5. Either way, as far as this spread goes at this number, it kind of keeps moving around. I'm going to avoid betting anything on the spread specifically. Again, you have some teaser options here, or had some teaser options here pending your book. Total, I'm going to stay away from. I understand why it's this low, but then again, you do have a team in the Colts that hasn't scored less than 21 points like twice all year, and their team total's hanging at 20.5. So there's an interesting little bet for you if you want to make it. But again, they're missing pieces here. They're a dome team going on the road in the cold. It's going to be a spot I want to avoid entirely. And again, how do you feel confident betting the Steelers? I know that you could argue this is a spot they bounce back, but I mean, what have they shown? I mean, look, they might bounce back, but like, they're going to bounce back now against the Colts. I mean, they could win up by a lot, but I'm just going to avoid the game entirely.
Yeah, and the big loss here is Braden Smith. I mean, the right tackle because of the COVID, but don't forget their assistant offensive line coach, Clayton Adams, is going to be gone today too. So big loss there, JJ. Big loss when you lose the assistant O-line coach and you're already down. It's over. It's the death knell.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Hi, Otter on the over. Adam, Jimmy Stain. Oh, my boy Spread. And Tyler, who's betting all of his unders today. Wonderful. TikTok, KJ, Perez, Christopher, David. Sorry. I got a shout out to these guys. They're so nice if they're watching this, JJ. Seriously. Benjamin and Earl. That's everybody that I see in there. KJ, if I missed you, just say something. And
we love these guys. I mean, yeah, you could even type like the letter Q. We'll give you a shout.
Huh?
I mean, like in the chat, if they type like the letter Q or something, we'll still give them a shout.
Yeah. All right, took me a second, but I get it now.
I mean, yeah, they don't even need to say words. I mean, it's fine.
Chicago and Jacksonville. Oh boy, can we really trust the Bears against Mike Glennon and the revenge game? It is an 8-point spread now. Could have gotten in at 7.5 at a couple places. The total is 47. Man, listen, Jacksonville's a complete debacle. Seriously, they don't even have James Robinson, who is the only offensive player that's been doing a lick. Chicago, on the other hand, Trubisky's been playing well. Their defense is tremendous. The 8 points though, Vegas did it right, 7.5. I don't like the hook. You give me 7 or 6.5, I'm fine. This could easily be a blowout, but I'm not messing with it.
Yeah, so I said last week, like Chicago's just not a team I want to step in front of right now. You see this sometimes with certain teams. They make a big shift at a key position, like quarterback, and all of a sudden, just everybody starts to play better. This offense has looked the best it's looked all year, and believe it or not, their defense hasn't looked that good. But ultimately, it doesn't matter because Mitch Trubisky, has been looking like, insert any Hall of Famer into the sentence. He's really looked tremendous. I mean, in terms of pass completions, pass percentage, QBR, he's finding first downs with his legs. And David Montgomery's now all of a sudden a stud back there. So I just think this is not an offense I want to step in front of. However, this line is indicative of how they've played the last 3 weeks, right? So you're basically buying the Bears at an all-time high. with the line at what it is here. And I get it, Jacksonville's not going to want to win games, right? That's the whole narrative. If they lose, they get Lawrence. But if they lose out, they get Lawrence. But most teams don't think like that. I will say that Jacksonville's not just going to lay down today. But ultimately, 8.5. With laying with the Bears, you can't feel comfortable about it. I am positive a lot of people will want to tease this down to probably 2.5 with Jacksonville 2. It's a spot I usually like to avoid. I don't like to take these because ultimately a spread like this that's already moved north a few points from what the spread would have been a few weeks ago, and now you're teasing that number down. Either way, it's just not good for expected value. I don't want to tease Jacksonville up to 14.5 because if they're going to lose, they're probably just going to get romped. But ultimately, look, the total Jacksonville games have been shooting out. But, Chicago, if they get a lead, they may just sit on it in this game, the rest up for next week. They're still Chicago's still in the playoff hunt, right? Yeah. So they're not going to I don't think they're going to keep trying to throw the ball downfield like Bruce Arians did yesterday. By the way, what was that about? This team's up 40 and they're throwing Hail Marys.
I don't know.
They're throwing Hail Marys with 3 minutes left in the game. And don't even get me started. And don't even get me started on John Gruden's tremendous head coaching. I know probably spreads in here. He's probably still crying from last night.
Yeah.
Jesus, John Gruden. My God. He's supposed to be a sharp coach.
No, he's old school, man. And their whole front office, even Mayock, he's good at analysis on TV, but what a debacle. Their whole draft class here is just Henry Ruggs. What are we doing? What are we doing with these guys? Josh Jacobs? Why'd we do this? It's just horrible first-round picks.
It's terrible.
It really is.
But anyway, back to this game. So I don't love anything about this game. Under, over at the spreads. I don't want to tease anything in this game. And look, I just think there's a lot of better games on the board. Like I said, I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to want to tease down Chicago in this spot. But ultimately, me personally, I'm going to avoid this game.
I am going to as well. That the line it's that hook. It's the 8. I think 7 they could take care of business, but we're relying on Trubisky.
We got a few Q types in the chat. Hold on, we got JD, Mr. Sweets, Ricky Chan. See, these guys listen.
What does Q mean? Is it?
It doesn't mean anything. I just picked a letter. I could have said semicolon.
Wow. All right, semicolon. Let's go. Wade Hoggs, come on. You're saying laying points with the Bears is yuck. Give us a semicolon, you son of a bitch. The Giants visiting Baltimore. Man, Lamar Jackson should just have a field day today. Now, 10 points is a lot, right? 10 points is a lot. Baltimore at home. Baltimore needs a win. The total's 44. I'm not so sure the Giants are going to help this total get to 44. And I hate double-digit totals. This is one where Baltimore could actually cover. So it's Baltimore minus 10. The total's at 44. What do you think?
So we've seen this with Baltimore, right? Against inferior competition, they typically blow these types of teams out. The Giants have been, we said this all year, right? These bad teams, quote unquote, that have had underrated defenses. Giants have had a good defense, specifically in yards per play. This is a team, and especially a bend don't break team. They're a top 5 team in the NFL defensively in the red zone. However, as I mentioned before, the Ravens are just one of those teams that they struggle with good teams. They severely struggle with elite teams. But when they play bad teams, they typically just really beat up bad teams. Will Lamar and Baltimore want to pour it on here? I guess it's possible. Daniel Jones is probably good for a turnover or 2 against this defense. But look, at the end of the day, it's a big number. And what I've liked with this Giants team all year has been their offensive play calling. I think that they've made a lot of good strides there. You got to give credit to Jason Garrett in that regard. Wayne Gallman's seen some progress as well. That dude was terrible running the football. Now he's pretty good between the tackles. Daniel Jones, it's really his decision-making because at the end of the day, there are so many plays where you're watching Daniel Jones drop back and he throws a ball to a guy who looks wide open, misses him. If Daniel Jones can hit those big plays today, they probably keep this close, probably keep this within a score. But ultimately, if it's the Daniel Jones that's making mistakes, fumbling, sack fumbles, interceptions, Baltimore probably routes here. As far as the total goes, I understand why it's this low. But I do think you can punch Baltimore in for at least 24, 21, 24 out of that number. So I think if you're going to bet this total over, you're going to have to assume the Giants are going to come to town offensively, and they could. But again, I'm tired of trusting Daniel Jones to win me money. So ultimately, I'm not going to touch any side of this. It's a low number, which if the Giants offense shows, should easily pile over. But I'm not going to trust this in any regard. It's going to be another game I completely lay off.
All right. So, while you're talking, I'm going, this is kind of interesting. Maybe I go with Baltimore. You're starting to talk me into it, and then no.
I just try to give you both sides of the equation. I mean, ultimately, you guys can make the bets you'd like. I'm just here to try to give you both sides of it.
Oh, this is why I talk it out with. I should talk to you like other times just about my bets, but I'm just too much of a dumbass to do that. You know, people get together and they bounce.
You're like, I would do that, but I'd rather jerk off on Pornhub.
You'd rather talk to me or you'd rather jerk off to Pornhub?
No, I was speaking as you. I would never turn you down for Pornhub, especially since Pornhub's lost all their third-party posters. I mean,
that's really disappointing. I mean, seriously, this is a problem. Like all their good stuff is just gone. It's we need somebody at the next level to intervene here and take over. Yeah, I want like the real amateur three-ways from Latvia. You know, I don't want this garbage that's taped out in California or Miami. Let's go. I want Eastern Bloc country. Disgusting, horrible stuff. Good job with the semicolons and a Q and a smiley face.
Yeah, I love that. Best Pie Eater, KJ, Jake Jacobs. Jake Jacobs even did it like with the Q. Wade. I mean, these guys are awesome.
Do you guys have any questions? Love to hit your questions up here. You know, we'll do that here in a couple of minutes. But we do have one more 1 o'clock game. This is fancy. You got any props here with Kansas City? Kansas City minus 10.5, minus 11, depending on where you shop. Total here is DraftKings had it down at 52.5. I'm seeing it 53 just about everywhere else. It's like, you know, I'm hoping this isn't the thing where Mahomes is set up to just have an amazing. You know what? Come on. Mahomes is going bananas today, isn't he? Is he? Yes or no?
He should. What I will say is that DraftKings was basically like, you want to play these guys, enjoy the 3K guys with them. I mean, look at the pricing that they did to these guys on DraftKings today.
It's every week. It's every week.
But like Mahomes, I mean, Kelsey hasn't been 8-5, has he?
No. This is like they finally last week figured out in this DFS conversation, they finally last week figured out that he's a wide receiver 1. Like he's leading the world in receiving yards, right? So like, all right, let's price him up as a wide receiver 1. And I don't blame you. He's actually might be worth it in some places.
Yeah, I think it's interesting now it's a tough decision. I mean, ultimately they would have been the best combo on the slate, of course. You know, you pair Mahomes, Tyreek, and Kelsey together, but I mean, with the pricing, it's just kind of ridiculous. So this game here, I will tell you this from an overall bets and handle perspective. I know some people like to hear this. This is going to be your biggest over bet of the day in terms of your overall public on this side. Everybody's kind of betting the over here, and it kind of makes sense, right? Atlanta should be able to score. The problem is like, and I say this again, like if you're betting Kansas City, okay, they're the only team in the NFL the last 6 weeks that has not covered a spread. Okay, they just
6 weeks. That's right.
So how do you feel comfortable betting this? And don't get me wrong. Sure, maybe today's the day they play a game for 4 full quarters. Okay, they just get lackadaisical with a win. They just don't care. And I get it. You know, they're the best team in the NFL. They can do what they want. But from a betting perspective, how do you feel comfortable betting on or against this team? Because if you're betting against them, thinking, oh, this team just kind of plays lax, that they don't care. Of course, by the time you bet them, now they'll be the game where they go for 4 quarters and they blow out the Falcons today. Or if you take the approach of, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to bet the Chiefs, or I'm going to bet the Chiefs today because, you know, ultimately they're due for a win. And they do this thing where they go up 3 scores and you're comfortable. You think everything's great. And then the fourth quarter, they just don't show up and they give up 2 touchdowns late and they just don't care. They just want to win games. And ultimately you can't blame them for that. But when it comes from a betting perspective, I don't know if the market's truly adjusted enough for these games. Now, this seems to be getting somewhat good two-way action. I think people are kind of getting tired of losing money betting the Chiefs with the spread. But it's worth noting the Chiefs might be 0-5-1 against the number the last 6 weeks, but they are 6-0 straight up. I mean, this team is doing what they need to do to win games. But again, from a spread perspective, look, Matt Ryan going up against this pass rush. I mean, ultimately, we say this all the time, right? The Chiefs are not nearly as bad a defense as they appear. Maybe they're a little bad between the tackles running the football, but is Ito Smith really going to gash this team? I mean, I don't think so. So ultimately, it's going to be on Matt Ryan. You know, can he do enough without Julio today against this secondary and this pass rush? And, you know, is Mahomes going to are they going to really want to pour it on against this defense? I've also kind of liked what I've seen relatively from Atlanta's defense the last, call it 4 or 5 weeks combined. But overall, going to be a spot. I hate to keep avoiding these spots, but I want to give you guys angles for both sides. This will be a spot that I ultimately want to stay back and avoid because, again, the total, I get it. It makes sense. It's a low number. But if the Chiefs don't show up and score 35, you're not going to get there. And as far as the Falcons, I mean, look, this team could get beat by 40 or they could or they could win outright today. Neither one would completely surprise me.
You would not be surprised if the Falcons went outright today.
Well, here's the only reason why I wouldn't be. The Chiefs, the last, again, 6 weeks, they've been just playing in cruise control. And at some point, that's going to bite them, right? It has to. Whether it's this week, whether it's week 17, I just can't imagine a world where, like, you're just playing on cruise control every week and, like, at some point it doesn't bite you. I'm not saying the Falcons are going to win today. But what I'm saying is, would it surprise me with what I've seen from the Chiefs the last 6 weeks, a team that's kind of played lax? No, it wouldn't surprise me if they ended up losing because of that. But you see this all the time with them. It's like what, like I said last week, Mahomes took a 30-yard sack 2 weeks ago. And like they run these like weird reverses for no reason. Like, I don't understand it. They don't have to be clever with their play calling. They have speed everywhere. They have the best quarterback in the NFL. Just let him drop back, do what he does, and find open guys. But they do this weird creative shit with leads. They just start handing the football off to 45-year-old Le'Veon Bell. And it's very weird. They don't step on teams' throats anymore. But again, they don't have to. They're winning games. But again, from a betting perspective, not a team I want to bet for or against anymore.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the whole season it's been like that, though. Not just like the last few weeks. Since that opener against the Texans, they just turn it on and off. So it is definitely concerning. It really is. Yeah. They're just too good, though, is the only thing. That's the team that can get away with it. You know what? It's going to bite them. It might bite them in the playoffs, like in the Super Bowl or something like that, because they can't do this the whole time. Yeah. They're so good. They can beat the shit out of anybody they want to, but they just screw around. It's too much. All right. I have to plug my computer in, so I'm going to do that once I do. By the way, wash your hands, Johnny Blaze. That's disgusting. Best pie eater. Come on. Nobody does that. This is horrible. Just these people. Yes, Christian, the Falcons are bad against tight ends too, which is why I'm a little bit concerned. All right, let's go to this 1 o'clock it's 2 o'clock, I guess your time. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock out here. Denver at the Chargers, 4:05 Eastern time. 47 is the total. Chargers straight up 3-point favorites. No Keenan Allen today. No Keenan Allen. And my best bet of the week is coming from this game. So, JJ, run away with it while I plug my computer in.
Yeah. So, what have the Chargers shown anybody to say they should be a favorite in any game ever? Now I get it. Denver's been tough to watch on certain aspects. Drew Lock has just not seen the progression we figured he would with the offensive coordinator change for Denver. But either way, it's puzzling to me. Now I get, and so ultimately, I'll tell you what, if you're somebody who's interested in what players are worth to a market. This line was 3.5 last night. Keenan Allen gets ruled out. This drops under the number 2.5. Clearly, the market thinks this dude's worth a full point. Now, I'm not arguing that he is or isn't. He's a great player. But just so you guys don't know for your own records, next time this happens or doesn't happen, it's pretty clear the market believes Keenan Allen is worth 1 full point to a Chargers line. This line swung right under. And you could argue it's actually more than 1, maybe like 1.5, only because it slid underneath a key number of 3 with the news of him going out. You could probably, I'm probably sure we'll talk about this as well. Austin Eckler should be in for a nice little day himself, but ultimately, total's kind of big, right? 47.5, but it does kind of make sense. Denver's defense hasn't been near what it was supposed to be this year. Could be more to say about their lack of offense. And their defense spends a lot of time on the field, but either way, the Chargers defense just hasn't been there at all. And we know about their play calling with Anthony Lynn. I'll tell you what, though, these are 2 head coaches that both do not like to win football games. Anthony Lynn cannot close out games, and Vic Fangio, look, he's a tremendous defensive coordinator, but as a head coach, I mean, look at what he did last year, just consistent fourth quarter blown leads. So I'm interested to see how this goes in the fourth quarter. Maybe in the fourth quarter, whoever is losing, you live bet them, because these head coaches just love to blow fourth quarter leads. Wouldn't surprise me if you get a little bit of a back and forth in the fourth quarter here. But either way, there's a bunch of good 4 o'clock games. This one, I wouldn't consider one of them. Could be fun, but it's going to be one that I also want no part of. Again, 2 bad head coaches. The total's probably where it should be. Chargers have no business being favored, but then again, if you're betting Denver, they're probably going to need to win at this number. So ultimately, it's an ugly game. But Holden, you got your best bet here, right?
Yeah, and I heard that there's a bad bet that the Broncos are doing, and they're likely bringing Fangio back next year. It's because they signed him to such a horrible contract, they can't do anything about it.
It always makes you wonder, right? When guys like Vic Fangio are in the league for so long and they never get that head coaching opportunity, like why they never did. And it's kind of starting to prove itself.
Arians was kind of like that guy. But at least Arians had some playoff teams here. But yeah, my best bet from this is going to be Melvin Gordon over 2.5 receptions. We got no Phillip Lindsay again, so he's out. I think this is a game where we're going to see, Lock check down a little bit too. He's had 3 and 4 catches over the last couple of weeks, and I think that he goes back to the well again with this. I think Melvin Gordon, I actually like Melvin Gordon this week as a DFS play, just in general. And yeah, my best bet this week is over 2.5 receptions by Melvin Gordon. I think I got the juice at like minus 118.
That's a good look.
Yeah, you like it?
That's a really good look.
Hey, it's a shitty look. I mean, it's only a good look if you tail. If you don't tail, then
of course I'm gonna tail. I love that.
You
look.
are?
Why would I not? I just said to you I love that look. What do you think?
I'm 0-2. At some point in time, you got to jump off the ship.
I mean, hook me up to a lie detector test now. I'll bet it.
All right, good. Go bet it. I hope we win. Now I'm going to be stressed out about that. I got 2 fantasy championships, a shitload of money in DFS, a shitload of money betting. Come on, just throw some more pressure on me. I don't care. Let's go. Oh,
pressure builds diamonds, right?
I want to bring one other thing up because I don't know if our listeners really know this. Tom Pelissaro, we got 17-game season next year. 17-game season.
Love to see.
Amazing.
Love to see it. So what are they going to do? So it's 18 weeks with the bye?
I would think so. I wouldn't be surprised if they put a 19th week in there. That wouldn't bother. Dude, just give me more football. I don't care. I don't care if the teams suck. I don't care if the games suck. I just want more football. It's just so much fun.
Don't we all?
It's just so much fun. Yeah, see, spread didn't even hear that. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, 17-game season. It's a little odd. I hope they do 20 weeks. Then it'll really be fun. Okay, our next 4:00 game to get to would be Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. Ooh, this is juicy. Visiting Dallas. The total here is 50 or 50.5, depending on where you shop. And it is a three-point favorites for Philadelphia on the road. Boy, Jalen Hurts has completely changed the outlook of this franchise, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been really good. And I think, like I said, it says more to how bad Wentz has been versus how bad Wentz's supporting cast has been, because Jalen Hurts by no means has like that prototypical, good NFL quarterback chops to him. But he's played really well, and defensive coordinators haven't been able to adjust. And to the idea that the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator will be the one that adjusts, or defense will be the one that adjusts, it probably won't happen. Either way, this is my best bet for the day. Over 50, minus 108. Now, it's funny, right? Because I do this show, I make the bets, and then ultimately it was 49.5. Now it's 50. It's half a point. It's not a big deal. I need 50 to win anyway. But yes, over 50. So here's the big thing. From yards per play perspective, defensively, these two teams have been woeful the last few weeks. Now, I know Jalen Hurts and this offense have looked good from a YPP on the offensive side. These teams haven't been excellent, but defensively, they've been terrible. Okay. And look, if there's one thing Dallas can do well with those playmakers on the outside is move the ball down the field with Dalton. I think that ultimately Jimmy Schwartz, I feel like we talk about him every week. He's going to single cover all these guys, maybe run some weird cover zeros on multiple occasions. And Andy Dalton's going to have opportunities to make big plays in this game through the air. Zeke's going to be back, but I mean, what does that really mean? Pollard's been good. But I do think that overall, Andy Dalton moves the ball against the secondary, maybe not with ease, or not a hot knife through butter per se, but he's going to be able to move the football downfield. And Jalen Hurts has been so potent, and I'll call it competent on offense. And they've been moving the ball without issue. Miles Sanders should have a decent game today. And this whole offense should be able to churn out points. To me, this is just your prototypical game where this total probably should be about 48, but I don't know if it's taking into account how bad these defenses have been recently and how improved these offenses have been recently with the quarterback change for Philly. And Andy Dalton's certainly been respectable enough on quarterback for the Cowboys. So overall, best bet for the day, that's for me, is over 50 in this game. So the Eagles, I like it. And I don't bet a lot of overs, so take that.
I'll be tailing you on this. Actually, I think I already did. Never mind. I already did.
And then your bet was Melvin Gordon over
2.5. Throw it on the fucking sheet. Let's go. Put it on the sheet, buddy. Put it on the sheet. This is just not a show thing. If JJ's tailing me, that's a sheet play. That's a sheet play.
What's up, Peter? But yes, we got one more game left.
Yeah. And then when you get seriously, and then if we want to do the Sunday night game too, that's kind of really, really sexy. I like that one. Rams Seattle 47.5 is the total. Seattle -1. Boy, I am a little concerned about the Seattle offense today against the Rams, to be honest with you. This has been a rivalry game when the Rams stink and the Seattle Seahawks are good. Sometimes the Rams win. Sometimes the Rams are better and Seahawks win. This is a true rivalry game. I hate the side here. And honestly, I hate the total and I hate everything about it. I'll be watching a little bit of it, JJ, but this is a stay away spot for me. What about you?
Now, we can talk strength of schedule and who these two teams have played recently in their last 3 games. But Holden, in the last 3 games, these two teams are both top 3 in yards per play defensively. Seattle has seen a huge improvement once they got healthier. And you get Jared Goff on the road. So, what is that going to mean? I know that this will be another semi-popular over, right? But when you think about it, it's like these are 2 good defensive teams. The total's probably right where it should be, though, which is why I'm going to ultimately avoid. But I think that it's hard to look at this game and just blindly say over when you get 2 teams that have been playing good defensively. But again, who they've played recently, they've both played some soft opponents. So it could make sense for why those numbers are what they are defensively for both squads. Offensively, though, the Rams come off a game against the Jets where they kind of looked lost. Maybe they looked past that game and were over-preparing for this game. Maybe. But Seattle's looked good defensively. They have not looked very good offensively, though. So now they play a great defense. But what I will say is the Rams, we said this last week, were a historically good defense at home. That kind of got blown up against the Jets. They're the exact opposite on the road. They have not been very good on the road at all. I mean, from every standpoint that you could talk against the run, against the pass, red zone defense, everything is bad for this Rams team on the road, which is a little struggling here. This is another spot where you could talk about teasing, right? You wanted to tease Seattle earlier. Now you could tease the Rams. But ultimately, taking the Rams up to 7.5, not a bad idea, right? The Rams don't lose many games by more than that. Seattle definitely doesn't win many games more than that. So you could argue it's going to be a good back and forth, and it'd be nice to get that over 7. What do you want to pair it with? That's completely on you. But ultimately, this is another good spot. There's a lot of good spots to tease again, and teasers have been such a money train this year overall, especially Wong teasers. But ultimately, this is a spot. I guess I'd lean the under just because I know these 2 defenses have been playing better, more efficient. Both teams have been trying to run the ball more as they both get healthier. Is Akers out this game?
Yes.
Okay. So they're going to have to rely on Henderson. To me, that's a semi-decent downgrade because Akers is really good between the tackles. I'm not saying Henderson isn't, but he's definitely an upgrade from Henderson as we've seen the last few weeks. But ultimately, I would lean under in this game, but don't love it.
Okay, let's do some prize picks. And then if we got I think we'll have a couple of minutes to get into Tennessee, Green Bay. But I know you got some prize picks.
Yeah, so on prize picks, I have a 3-player power play. We'll start with 2. Okay, it's T. Higgins over 11. To me, whether it's Allen, I know I talked about playing all 3 props, but to me, whether it's Allen or Finley, Higgins is going to get his fair share of targets, and he had a decent day in the game that they were leading the entire time against Pittsburgh. Now you figure they're going to probably be playing from behind, and no Boyd the entire game, so Higgins is probably going to play every snap. He's also their big play guy. He might even sneak into the end zone. He sneaks into the end zone. This will easily go over. But it's a light number. To put this into perspective, they typically hang Tyler Boyd's number at like 14.5. There is no Boyd, so this number realistically should have been 14.5. But either way, I like that over 11. And Baker Mayfield under 17. The big thing there is who's he throwing to? Like, look, he could get there, but ultimately it's going to have to be a lot of dinks and dunks that get him there. He's probably going to have to throw for 3 touchdowns to get here as well. It just seems like the type of game where they rely a lot on the run game. And how does he even have a deep play threat? Like who's he even going to be throwing deep balls to? So ultimately 17 to me, it's a fair number if he's got his weapons in, but he will not have almost anybody in. So I like that under. And then the other under I like is Phillip Rivers under 17. The Steelers have given up, like I said earlier, like I think 275 yards passing once all year. This is, again, a dome team going on the road. Phillip Rivers is still playing injured. Look at his game logs the last few weeks. He is definitely not 100%. Now, again, I know that it's more of their commitment to the run game, but ultimately short number 17. But for him to get there, he's going to have to probably throw for 203 touchdowns or a little over 202 touchdowns. So it's going to be a spot I just want to target him underneath those numbers. Now, ultimately, so it's those 3, my 2 favorites being Higgins and Mayfield. But those are the ones I like. Again, guys, sign up prizepicks.com, promo code PURE $300 bonus or $300 up to $100 with your deposit. Again, that's promo code PURE, PURE.
I will say that T. Higgins, everybody's on T. Higgins this week. And I love T. Higgins too. I mean, I got a lot invested in T. Higgins today, but not as much in DFS, but elsewhere. But like, how concerning is it to you with the quarterback play there?
I think you want to hear Allen as the quarterback. And I think that a lot of people might be on Higgins because of his price on DraftKings, right? Which makes sense, right? Because ultimately, like, for instance, if you saw Tyler Boyd was 4,700 this week, you'd probably play Tyler Boyd. I mean, the fact that Tyler Boyd's out and Higgins is in, and Higgins is now 4,700. Like, to me, it's a good spot for him. Now, will he go? I don't know. Ultimately, it's Houston's so bad between the tackles, so Cincinnati could just take a heavy run approach. But either way, Cincinnati should be able to get yardage today. It's just going to be a matter of how they do it. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, I kind of like the route of going with them all, especially if Allen's playing, and then just hoping to go 2-1 on props. But overall, yeah, I get the Higgins love. Ultimately, for him to get there, he'll probably have to score a touchdown on DraftKings. But for me, I just need him to get 6 catches for 50 yards. I'd be fine with that.
G Sauce has a question for you. I need a tiebreaker pick on Survivor. No spread. Cowboys or Eagles? Who's winning straight up?
Yeah, I mean, I take the Eagles personally. I don't love it, but ultimately, if like, as we like to say, gun to our head, machete up the ass.
God, which one do I want?
But yeah, I'd probably go Eagles because
I'll take the gun.
They definitely look better.
Definitely the gun. The machete thing could leave you just messed up for the rest of your life with a bag. The gun is a much easier choice, JJ. I mean, it's sure death, but I'll take it over a machete toward my anus. Let's talk about this Sunday night game. I'm so excited about it, man. This, to me, like, on paper, could be the game of the year. I don't know. What the hell? We got snow tonight. A little bit of snow. You like snow? We got that.
Who doesn't like snow?
It's going to be gorgeous on TV. A little bit of snow, not too much. Total's 53.5. It is Green Bay -3.
You see Big T's question?
Big T's in the chat. What did he have to say? Big T. How long till Tua is in the XFL? That's a great question. I think he can join Dwayne Haskins and Drew Lock there.
I think we all just need to give Tua some time. We need to give him some time.
How much time?
I mean, he's only played 5 NFL games. I mean, give him some time to develop a little bit. I'd like to. He's also still kind of fully recovering from his injury, right? I think we give him a little more of a full slate, right? We give him an extra year, and then we talk about him not being.
What are they doing? Why is he going to start next week? What in the F is Brian Flores doing? I think Flores is a great coach. What are they doing?
That's where I disagree with. Like, ultimately, when the first time he switched to Fitzpatrick, that's when he should have kept Fitzpatrick in. Just figured Tua's not ready yet. Maybe let Tua try to develop more under Fitzpatrick and the coaching staff. But yeah, to bring him back in and then take him out again and then bring him back and then take. What are they going to be in a playoff game and they're going to take him out in the third quarter? Like, to me, it's just odd. At this point, it's pretty clear. Fitzpatrick is that much better. There's no reason they should have Tua in these games.
What a remarkable comeback last night. I mean, the dude's getting his face mask pulled and he's hitting dudes down the field. It was amazing. Hey, Nasty Nate, that's not nice. Dick Wrinkles, I'm not down with that. That's just mean, and it's over the line and hurt my feelings. Although, good one. Real quick, let's talk about this game tonight. Come on, the Packers, unstoppable lately. I don't know how they're going to stop Derrick Henry, though. It's like each offense does well what the other defense does horribly, right? So does that mean we're going to see an under tonight?
I mean, it's the weather's going to be a factor, right? It's going to be a matter of how much. I mean, Green Bay's used to the cold, used to this type of weather. Rodgers can certainly sling it in this type of weather. He's never been unable to do that. Look, Tennessee is still the worst defense in the league on third down, and now you're playing a team that converts third and longs with the best of them. So, I think overall it's a tough game to cap with the current spread. I mean, again, these Sunday night games like this, with these like true primetime games, these are games I typically end up staying off. Maybe I'll play a prop or two. But ultimately, as far as the spread in total, like the total is 53.5. It's come down from 56. maybe there's some value on the over, but again, the reason it's come down is because of the weather. So maybe it'll go down even more before game time. And what if it's just light snow and no wind? Like, is there going to be wind? Is there even going to be?
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. And I've actually done a lot of research on this. First of all, we should get around 3 to 4 inches, and that should be tapering off as the game goes on. First of all, if the field is not good, that is such a massive advantage to the offense. And we see this like in DFS. Anytime I see a snow game, I run with the running backs. They have such an advantage in moving, and the defense doesn't, which is another reason why I like the over in this game, JJ. The wind's going to be between 11 and 14 miles an hour. That doesn't scare me, especially with the arm. Both these guys have terrific arms. There's just so much offensive firepower. And I just talked myself into leaning toward the over tonight.
I think as long as you're not as deterred from the weather. I mean, what I will say is, and we got a first half question for Green Bay. These are two of the best scoring first half teams in the NFL. So you could maybe think about betting the first half over. These two teams just typically end up finishing up drives early in games. And over their last 3, both teams have averaged 16 or more points over their last 3 games in the first half. These teams just come out scoring early. But again, the weather could impact that, of course. So I'll have to dig a little deeper into the weather to get a better handle on an angle for the game myself. But ultimately, the first half over would make sense as long as the weather's not super crazy bad. But ultimately, it'll probably be a spot I'd lay off.
Boy, it's going to be I think that's going to be a fun one. I cannot wait till that game tonight. And that's about it, really, for that. I do want to just shout, if anybody in the chat is in the Discord is using the Kenny Powers, like what is that, an avatar maybe? I don't know what the hell, picture. Every time I read your stuff, I think it's Big T, because Big T's mascot is Kenny Powers. And if Big T had enough hair, he could grow like a mullet. He would be Kenny Powers. So please, let's kill the Kenny Powers photos in there. You're really confusing me. So can you switch this? What was his name? What was his buddy? Did you even watch Eastbound and Down, JJ?
I have not seen it, no.
What?
I know.
Holy dude, you're going to love it. It's the best show. It's right up your alley. You and I have a distorted sense of humor. It's the best thing. Steve, do a Stevie picture. Don't do our main character. Come on. I
need to get on that show ASAP.
Dude, listen, anybody in the chat right now, if you've seen it, how badly does this dude need to watch it? All right, best bets, right? Best bet. My best bet, right?
Yeah, the best bets are Philly over 50 minus 108 DraftKings, and then your bet was Melvin Gordon over 2.5 catches.
Correct.
Minus 118. BetMGM?
I think I got it. I put fucking FanDuel. I hate them so much, but they got the spread the love bet, so it's like a free $50. I threw it in there, and then I put the other $50 on Melvin Gordon over 2.5. That was about it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So you guys got our best bets. Look, I wish you all the best of luck with all your bets today. Hopefully you getting on some of that Prize Picks action. Hopefully Big T can kind of no longer whack off to Tua's unsuccessful trip to the NFL.
They took it off of Pornhub. I was taking it off of Pornhub too. You can't watch anything on Pornhub.
You can't even watch Tua throw the football on Pornhub anymore.
Gone.
But guys, truly, as always, gamble responsibly, stay safe, and we'll catch you guys next week. All right, later, everybody.